Now, I'm going to be making a lot of claims in this video, and before I go any further into it, I just want to say a few things, and mostly just the fact that these are opinions and assumptions based on the current state of Ponytown and its past, the history of its past and everything like that. While I truly do believe that NPCs won't be coming to the game anytime soon, and definitely not in the way that people expect, it is possible that they will one day come to the game, and I just want to admit that here. Like, you know, I could be 100% off on this. Like, NPCs could come like 3 weeks later after this video or something like that, but I really don't think it's going to happen. But why do I believe NPCs will never come to Ponytown? To better explain that, let's take a look at some of the custom servers and their NPCs. A lot of custom servers made their own PCs for their game pretty quickly. Like, as soon as they made their custom server or whatever like that, these NPCs were one of the first things added, or at least it seems like one of the first things added. Almost every single one of them have NPCs, but almost all of them serve no purpose. In Mystical Meadows, they have an NPC that just circles the same area over and over, wondering what to paint. In Ash's Town, the only NPCs we had for a while was the Sweetie Bot, which did basically nothing. It did nothing useful at all. It repeated a few lines of dialogue over and over again, and that was it. Then a couple of wandering NPCs were added later on, and stuff like that, but they also did nothing but say a few lines over and over again while wandering the same spot. Over time, Ash's Town got NPCs with purpose, but I'll circle back to that later. Then there was other custom servers like Durgan's Town, which actually did something with some of their NPCs. They would ask for items, and if you could give them those items, it was like a whole quest kind of thing, and you would earn in-game currency and stuff like that. But there was also plenty of NPCs in that custom server and these other custom servers with quest-giving NPCs that do nothing but just wander and mumble. Some of them were even glitched and everything like that, but that's like a totally different topic. We don't have to talk about that. So at the end of the day, most of these NPCs were completely pointless and probably more of a distraction or a waste of time than anything. Ash's Town corrected this over time. They added an NPC to buy and sell things from, they added a bartender NPC, etc, etc. It made things work because it wasn't just do this for currency or watch them wander around forever. I mean, there's still wandering NPCs in Ash's Town, but Ash's Town did that system in the best possible way. The only way to improve from here with Ash's Town's NPCs are if they start giving quests. But if we backtrack and talk about the response to these NPCs, we can see that they were not really that great for the game. At least that's what it seems like. First, we had the wandering NPCs in Ash's Town. People found them really annoying and wanted to kill them, and I'm not even exaggerating with that. They literally wanted to kill them. Then the game updated later on in the future, and that wandering NPC that everyone hated was finally dead. People were a little bit split on this, but if you ask anyone to this day, no one really misses them. Some people might not even remember that it was there at all. Then we have the bartender NPC. It used to be that there was no one there, just like how the bakery is in Ponytown. Players themselves manned the bar and pretended to be bartenders and servers, and they were happy. All the drinks were free, currency wasn't really a thing yet, and people really loved that because it helped their roleplays. It benefited their roleplays to not have currency. We even had access to every single weapon, but then currency was added, and the bar drinks cost caps to get. Well, kind of. If I remember correctly, they did at first and then they changed it later, but it's really confusing right now and also very weird right now because you can get drinks for free, but you can also just buy them from the NPC. Which, if you ask me, completely defeats the purpose of the NPC entirely and makes it nothing more than just some annoying thing that's kind of in the way. You're even more limited in buying from him. Like, you can see there's, like, what is this, 6 drinks? But if I go to the cabinet and I just click it enough times, there's way more drinks in the cabinet that you can just get for free, minding the lag. But as you can see, there's, like, just so many options. So he's even more useless, and he's just kind of there. Why the fuck did you add him, Ash's Town? So now there was an NPC you talked to get served drinks, and it wasn't like he just went to tables or anything like that. No, you just clicked him, got a menu, and then poof, you had a drink in your mouth. Alternatively, you can still conduct this bartender roleplay with the free drinks, but with much less effectiveness, because there's always a bartender in your way. It's almost as if Ash's Town is sidelining this RP and trying to get players to interact with the NPC instead. Again, people really kind of hated this NPC when it first came out, and I think a lot of people still do hate this NPC because it now ruined their roleplays. They couldn't pretend to be the bartenders or the servers or the employees because the NPC was doing all of it. I briefly mentioned weapons were free and everything like that, and people liked that as well for the same reason because it was helpful for roleplay, but guess what happened? They locked everything behind another NPC, so now people hated this guy too. The system itself was fine, but going from everything being free and roleplay friendly to I have to grind and spend time outside of roleplaying to get the things required to roleplay became an issue for some players. Not to mention the fact that like this NPC that you can buy weapons from doesn't always have the weapon you're looking for, and you might have to wait for it to like load in and stuff like that because it cycles through different stuff that it sells. If it wasn't for the inventory system getting expanded, this would still be a nightmare to deal with. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the NPCs in Ash's Town are probably the best we've seen in a custom server, and yet it still kinda sucks. It's very unfriendly to roleplay, and it made me and others wonder if roleplaying is something that's becoming sort of an afterthought over there. Taking a look at Ponytown again, since this video is about why I think NPCs aren't going to be added to the game, Ponytown focuses heavily on roleplay. Every single feature seems to ask the question, what will this do for roleplay? Exchanging items, for example, was added very recently, and it's a very good addition for roleplays where players can pretend to pay for things at the bakery or at the marketplace. Giving items is the same issue. What about /think? Again, perfect for roleplay and not really anything else. I mean, why would you want like a thought bubble versus like speaking if you're not going to do it for roleplay or something? I mean, sure, you might want to do it because it looks cooler or something like that, but it's essentially made with roleplay in mind. What? Building your own maps? Of course, again, for roleplay. There's many examples like this, such as the dice command and so on. Basically point out anything in Ponytown, and it's probably the way it is because it benefits roleplay. On top of that, look at how things are now. Everything in this game is free. If I want to get a cucumber, I can just go to the marketplace, or even just spawn one myself on my island. Wouldn't it be so weird to suddenly have to pay for that with in-game currency, especially right after getting that item as a placeable on the party island? Same goes for everything else. Everything must remain free to be beneficial for roleplay. Adding an in-game currency to get things like a shovel or a knife or a fruit or something like that is just going to destroy a lot of the fun of the game. Now, in-game currency still has a place in Ponytown if they do something along the lines of like nameplates or special chat bubbles and stuff like that. Maybe some of the toys that you unlock during Christmas events and stuff like that, maybe you can buy those with the in-game currency. Stuff like that I feel like could be beneficial, but what does this mean for NPCs? Since the only two good uses for an NPC is something like a shopkeeper or a quest giver, at least in the context of this game, I just don't see one being added anytime soon to Ponytown. Because if it gives quests, what would the reward be? An in-game currency system that doesn't really have any use right now, and also probably wouldn't have a use for a very long time, if ever? And if it's a shopkeeper, you just kind of ruined a huge part of the game. But that's pretty much all my thoughts on why I don't think NPCs are going to be added to Ponytown anytime soon. And if they do get added, I imagine it's going to be very, very different from what a lot of people expect. So I don't know what else to say other than that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative to some degree, and I hope you guys enjoyed it to any amount of degree. If you did, I would sure as heck love it if you liked, subscribed, shared, and did all of those wonderful things like that. Because when you do those wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become one of yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.